A few years ago, I came on YouTube and I made a confession. I said, I'm 70 years old and I play with Lego. And now a few years later, I'm back with another confession. I'm now 72 and I am obsessed with playing pinball. I'm Tom Bray since 1954. Welcome back to this, my alternative YouTube channel that I call since 1954, The Podcast. Now, when I started my first channel, which is called Since 1954, I intended it to be a place where I could just talk about the things that were raising the level of joy in my life as I got older. And it rapidly became a YouTube channel about me building Lego at my age. And I'm glad it did become that because I've had just a blast doing that, and I will continue to do that. But I thought it was time to come back here and resurrect this channel to talk about the other things in my life that raise the level of joy as I'm getting older, and just to see if I can find common ground with those of you out there who might be thinking the same thing and get some ideas from you. And today I want to talk about pinball, and I'll get to that in just a second. But first of all, this channel is really intended as a podcast. So it's mostly audio oriented. I want us to listen to each other. You can comment here and I'll be listening to you and you'll be listening to my voice as we just chat about different things. I think in our moment we've kind of lost a lot of our ability to listen. I grew up as a television baby, but I quickly as a young adult became hooked on old radio shows, which were dramas before television dramas, and comedies, etc., variety shows. I'll be talking about that in a future episode here. But so I've always been interested in just the spoken word, and that's why I want this podcast to be mostly listening oriented. I'll drop in some images occasionally as kind of B-roll, but really what I want to do is just have a conversation with you. So for those of you who enjoy listening to podcasts on YouTube, you walk around with your phone and your earbuds in, this might be right up your alley. I know people do watch podcasts, just basically talking heads like this. I even watch some of them. They're usually interview programs, and that's not what this is. This is just me talking to you. It seems I like to talk. So that's what this will be. Low production values, but I hope good audio for you so it sounds good, and just interesting topics. Now, pinball. How did I get interested? Well, I got interested because of my son, who's now 40. He grew up here in the Portland, Oregon area and went to the University of Washington. And in Seattle at the time, as is still true, it's a very pinball-rich town. They're very interested in it up there, as they are now in Portland. Portland is also a pin-rich town. We've got several really interesting arcades here. One of them, a mega arcade that I'll talk about in a minute. And so when he was up at the University of Washington, he joined the local pinball club. And they were just organizing their first big pinball show that they would have annually. So he was involved with that. They still have that show. I hope to go to it in June. He got hooked and he bought a couple of machines and became quite a good player. And I played some pinball over the years. I wasn't much interested until a recent visit. So Spencer came back to Portland, where we were building our Dungeons and Dragons set, which I'm still working on. And he discovered that there were several very good arcades here in Portland, and we visited them. And one of them is a bar arcade named Wedgehead, which has several machines. It's a great place. You should visit it when you're in Portland. They also have a podcast, by the way, which I'll link to down here. Another really favorite arcade is a place called Next Level out in Hillsboro, which has over 100 pinball machines. I've never seen anything like it. Fantastic. So this time when I played in both of those places, I became hooked. I just had so much fun. It was a way to bond with my son and talk about pinball, and that's always a plus for an old guy like me. But also I began to think of the benefits to me, just like I thought of the benefits when I started to build Lego. And just as in Lego, there are many benefits to me as a senior that you would not expect And I think those benefits are just as strong as they would be for a young person playing pinball. And we might think to ourselves as seniors, oh, I'm too old for pinball. Who's interested in that? What good could it possibly do for me? But I'm here to change your mind. And by the way, if you're a seasoned pinball player, I'm not here to tell you anything that you don't already know. In fact, I know far less than you. This is really intended for those of you who might be intrigued by the idea of going out and playing a pinball game and why you should do it at my age. So here's the thing. Just like in Lego, there are certain elements of the process of engaging in the activity that are a benefit to me. In Lego, the fine motor skills involved in building, the translating of a two-dimensional image into a three-dimensional model, these are all good for your brain and your fine motor skills, and they help you as seniors to keep those things active. There's also a social element to building Lego. As I showed recently in my other channel with my son, as I said, building together with me the Dungeons and Dragons Lego set. Pinball has some of the same benefits. First of all, there's hand-eye coordination. Now, we all know that our reflexes slow down at this age. That's why our automobile insurance is much higher than yours at the age of 30, providing you're a safe driver. It's because insurance companies know that our reflexes slow down, and we're not hitting the brake as quickly as someone younger than us would. Our reaction times are slower, which is why they have all those safety features now, which benefit us. There's nothing like playing a game of pinball to exercise your reflexes, because you are watching the ball drop and having to coordinate your hand-eye with the flippers and send the ball towards the target that you want to hit to play the game. So there's that. Second of all, the gameplay rules now are much, much deeper than they used to be in the 50s and 60s in those older pinball games that we might have played at the beach when we were kids, like I did. And it takes a lot of brain power and concentration to go through the gameplay rules and to be able to concentrate on where to put the ball in order to win the game and rack up the points. It's also a physical workout, believe it or not. Playing a game of pinball is not easy. I work up a sweat when I play a game of pinball. And so for all of those reasons, and possibly more, and also the social aspect, is a tremendously social thing to do. Even more so, I think, than building Lego, because unless you're going to buy a game for your home, you're going to go to an arcade to play. And you're going to be among other people. And the pinball community is generally extremely friendly. They're a joy to be with. You're going to find people of mostly younger ages. I think the average pinball player now is in their 20s. So what a great thing to be able to just hang out with some younger people, start up a conversation, ask about the game, ask about their skills, and how to become a better pinball player. Or to do it with a grandchild, or even an older child like I'm doing. Although my granddaughter is now standing on a chair in front of us and slapping at the pinball flippers, and she's just about 2 years old, so we're starting her young. So for all those reasons, I advocate going out and playing a game of pinball. Now, finally, I'll just mention what put me over the edge and why I bought a machine. The new pinball machines tend to be extremely reliable. There's a company called Stern that's an old pinball amusement company, but they make modern games now in themes that are really exciting. A new Pokemon game has just come out that's absolutely thrilling to play. It's really simple but fun. There's a lot of intellectual property licenses for pinball games, including the Batman franchise. Jurassic Park is a classic pinball game. Godzilla is probably the hottest pinball game of the last few years and really fun. And Star Wars, of course. So I am really versed in the Star Wars universe. I love it. And so there's a new Star Wars game out called Star Wars Fall of Empire. And we pulled the trigger and bought the machine and put it in our home. And I'm so happy we did. It's just been a great family time. My bride of over 40 years had a pinball table in her dormitory at Berkeley in the 70s and played the heck out of it. And she's better than I am, man. She's nudging that machine left and right, racking up scores that are much higher than mine. But it's really fun to play together. When my son visits, we all play. It was an investment I was happy to make. You can also rent machines, and I'm also renting a second machine right now. From your local arcade owner may have machines to rent. And, it varies as far as cost goes, depending upon where you are in the United States. But at the very least, you can go out and you can play some pinball at a local arcade. Many of these places have a flat admission fee, and I would look for that. That's the most fun for somebody who's a beginner like I am, because you're not constantly throwing quarters in the machine. You go in, you pay $12 to $25, and you can play all day, or you can play for a set amount of time, depending upon their policies. And that way you can try different machines, you can play multiple games. So that's my recommendation. That's why I love pinball. I'm obsessed with it. I'm just having the best time. It really does raise the level of joy in my life. Now, how about you? Are you like me? Have you just discovered something like pinball? Are there other things that are benefiting your mental and physical health? Because I really believe that this does do both of those things. It's benefiting my mental health in a tremendous way, but also my physical health in my hand-eye coordination, etc. Until next time, thank you for joining me here. I hope this was pleasant for you. I have a great time talking about these things. We'll see you next time. Take care.